Gio, what do you make of all this stuff?
Yeah, thank you, David. So, uh, as I said in the introduction, I'm working in the strategic portfolio management space. So uh, I see the accountability from the angle of strategy definition with the objective for the enterprise, for the company, and then strategy execution through the identification of initiative with the related expected outcomes, which are executed, through different portfolios, which are related to strategic initiatives, new project developments, BAU. So there are different kind of initiatives which are contributing to the strategy execution. So from my point of view, we have discussed about the RASI matrix. And what I can tell you is that I've seen a number of companies where this was implemented very well. Okay, so it was perfectly implemented, perfectly designed and implemented within the organization. The project was very well executed, but at the end of the project, the question was, do we achieve the outcomes, the value expected for this initiative? And nobody was able to answer to this simple question. So I think that the RASI matrix define the accountability for the execution, but not necessarily for the outcomes, which is the fundamental aspect of strategic portfolio management. So what I've seen in terms of experience with a number of organizations working in insurance, financial, CPG, manufacturing, and energy, is that they have a number of, say, common patterns, despite the size of the company, despite the industry. And the patterns are typically that the strategy is completely disconnected from execution. So the strategy in a lot of organizations, large and international organizations, large enterprises, the strategy is a PowerPoint presentation, which has no relation with what is happening in the project teams, in the department teams, in the agile teams. So they are completely disconnected. So there is no connection between the vision, between the expected outcomes, and what is happening in the running projects. This is the main issue, and this is why it's so difficult to have someone accountable for the outcomes, at the end of the day, because the outcomes are sitting with the strategy, and they are disconnected from the execution. The second, and have a very good example on this with a large CPG company, where the outcome of the project is not measured against the strategy. The other problem, the other area where companies struggle a lot is about prioritization. Okay, I think that this prioritization concept has been touched during the discussion before. We have an insurance company running hundreds of projects with a very well formalized demand management process. So all the intake process for new demand, new project request is very well managed and organized, but there is no prioritization. So it's a sort of bureaucratic activity, administrative task, where everyone is sitting in the room and just deciding, okay, let's go ahead with this project because the budget is low, because we have space, we have room for this project, but it's not an actual and objective prioritization. It means that everything is strategic, everything is urgent, and at the end you are not able to reach the outcome because there are no resources for those projects which are realizing value. So the risk is that you are putting your efforts and your investment on the wrong initiatives because there is no prioritization, and you are not actually generating the value which was expected from the strategy. So who is accountable in that case for the value is is accountable for delivering a value without having the resources for the delivery, for the execution of the project, because they have been, say, assigned to initiatives which are not generating any value. This is in the same context, we have the portfolio overload. So we have seen portfolios with hundreds of projects which are competing, in terms of assignment of resources to the various projects, and they are overlapping, they are delayed, and what is the worst is that the value is not generated when was expected. The other big problem that we see is about the information and the data. So in the company where we are working, is very unlikely to have a single source of truth, because everyone is looking to different data sets. Okay, this is strange because we have information, integration of information, we have AI, etc., etc. But believe me, there are a lot of companies which are still deciding on multiple sources of truth, because there are data coming from finance, there are data coming from the PMO, which are not telling the same story, the same version of the story to everyone, and therefore this is resulting into a sort of fragmented accountability at the end of the day, because I'm accountable of something which is not based on a proper source of truth. The governance without outcome ownership. So again, there is a sort of tendency to assign the ownership of execution, not of outcome. The benefit realization, value realization, tracking of KPIs is a sort of nice to have in a lot of organizations, while is the essence, no, of the strategy management. So for this reason, for us is fundamental not to have. I think that Alex was mentioning objective and key results. That is the starting point. You have to design a proper strategy, starting from the strategic pillars or strategic teams, identifying the objective, and then connecting the value of what you are realizing to the objective, not to connect the strategy to the execution. Okay, so this is something which is, say, again, a sort of nice to have in a lot of organizations. There are few organizations which are starting using this in a proper way, but it's still not very common. And then, again, this is something that we discussed at the beginning of our conversation. Delivery accountability is not outcome and value accountability. So when we build, in most of the situations, we'll build a RASI matrix to assign the responsibility for the execution, not for the accountability, which is not for the value and for the outcomes. And this is the reason why a lot of projects do not generate the expected value. So I have a few questions for you. And I think that, I don't know if there was any question so far. No. Does accountability start with ownership or with prioritization? This is a good point, because we say that there is a lack of ownership, for people to be accountable. But are we sure that we should not start from prioritization?
Sure we are. If you have an objective, which are the most important objectives? And yeah, but Gio, do you mind if I just quickly play back a very brief summary? I think you've said if strategy is disconnected, then we're not establishing accountability very well. If we're not prioritizing, that's not helping us to enable people to be accountable. That if I took an inference, which is if we're not managing accountability, then the lack of accountability can be culturally toxic, and the whole reason to deliver diminishes because no one's getting held to account. There's no consequence. There's the information and data mechanics we chatted about. If there's no machinery and there isn't reliable data, which is a reason to my mind for the standard agendas we saw last.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think those were the main points I think that you raised,
Yeah.
which it covers everything to my mind, virtually everything.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Because
st
yeah. Because sorry. I've interrupted you. Go ahead, please.
no, no, please,
No, because again, when we are looking to data, there is a very dangerous tendency, which is to look to data as vertical silos of data. So there are people looking to finance, looking to risk, looking to issues, etc. I think that you have to look to the data as a single from a single angle, okay, connecting all the information. I like a lot the dependency concept, all that stuff, because you cannot look to risks without looking to say to the value, because if you have a risk which is very likely to happen, probably your value realization is at risk. All the data needs to be say analyzed and considered in an integrated way, with an integrated view, and this is something which is quite important.
Stuart, you raised your hand, and then can we? I'll go to the Slido and see if we can get some of these questions answered. But a quick point,
Absolutely.
Stuart.
Yeah. Yeah, super quick. You know, I could talk for an hour on this, so I'm not going to. I just want to come back on the a couple of the points that you made, Gio, which is this idea of prioritization and resources and all that kind of good stuff. And I think this is a classic example in that node model thing you put up a few minutes ago, David. It's a classic example of where one man's ceiling is another man's floor, right?
Yeah.
So in a project, the person who's accountable, right, their ceiling is the floor of the portfolio board,
Yeah.
right? So the portfolio board has accountability to maximize the ROI of the portfolio. The sponsor has the accountability to deliver the project, right? So it's the portfolio board, I think. So I think holding the SRO accountable, if there aren't enough resources, actually that's not a project problem, that's a portfolio problem. So having real clarity about that, I think, resolves a lot of these issues, and then you can start to then you can start to optimize stuff, right? If you have that clarity. So as you know, David, I could go for an hour. I'm done. I'll shut up.
Absolutely agree. But in my personal view, okay, this is my personal position is that in any case, the accountability should somehow distributed, across the team as well. So what I'm saying is that if you are accountable for a certain outcome, okay, which could be, I don't know, increase a KPI, a value realized, or anything which is the outcome expected from a certain, say, effort of the company in a certain direction, and people are working in the project, they must be aware of what they are realizing with the project. Otherwise, the connection happens only from a technical point of view, not from let's say from a cultural point of view within the organization.
Yeah.
So what is that the teams are completely disconnected from the reason why they are doing something. Okay, they know that they have a task. The task must be completed within a certain date, but then what they are realizing, okay, this culture is not, is not yet in a lot of organization where I've worked.
Maybe because the capability isn't there to visualize it and establish it. But
yeah, there is a poor planning of benefits most of the time. As I said, by mistake is very often a nice to have, or is is just the culture of the initial business case. Okay, so obviously, if you have to invest with in a multi-million million project, you have to build a business case. Okay, but that is an initial promise. Then, if this promise is realized or not, there is no control. There is not regular.
yeah.
I remember that there was a statement, related to the fact that you have to monitor, during the time, the accountability, the outcome, etc. This is the key. I mean, outcomes need to be constantly monitored.
And you said, Gio, and I think Chris has raised the point as well, that this isn't just about change. We need to make sure that our journey from purpose to vision to strategy and the cascade of that into objectives, those will go into uh, uh, temporary initiatives like projects and programs. They'll go into life cycle based things like products, and they'll go into operational stuff too. So we need to make sure that we have visibility across all those things and how they all work together.
Absolutely. With the objective and key results, you can either connect projects, okay, to the strategy, or activities or whatever is happening within the different organizational units of the company, contributing to the strategy. Is not necessarily about projects.
Did you want to ask us some questions? We're kind of running short of time. I can dive into the Slido and invite people to comment again, or should we just do this by just inviting people to put their hand up? Did you want to go through these questions, Gio, or should we just leave the floor open to people to comment?
Yeah, the questioner had these three questions to stimulate the conversation. Does accountability start with ownership or with prioritization? Who owns the strategy outcomes after project delivery? Because this is the key point. And can an initiative consider successful if value is never realized? You can't believe how many projects were considered successful projects without even generating the initial promised benefits.
I agree. And in my early career, managed a project, perfectly executed. Actually, it turned out to be worthless.
Yeah. And then after the project closes out, anyone disappears typically, and there is no verification of the value realized.
Mm. It is weird to me. We've had years and years of benefits management. I do think value has only really started creeping in later, but we've had years of benefits management at least. And yet we're still wedded to measures of project delivery success via the iron triangle. If it's on time, if it's on budget, and it's on quality, happy days, and never mind that actually it's not what we wanted or needed or asked for or hoped for. But hey, we did it. Let's go to an awards ceremony.
Well, we've got the concept of value, haven't we? There's value as in benefit from a finite initiative, but there's value that we're receiving in sales and revenue from a product that's going through a life cycle. And do we invest in further steps for that product to keep it forward? So there's the whole product management connection, and then there's value of the business operation. Some might say, well, what's the value of a PMO, or what's the value of an in-house HR function? There are these concepts of value that aren't just benefit related, but there's some kind of measured value from something that's not finite.
That is typically managed with at least in my experience with the concept of key results, but because there is value to be generated with and related to strategic objective, which is not necessarily through projects or programs or but is just through activities of the specific department or business unit.
Chris has got a great point there. Prioritization doesn't sit with run the business, because I guess prioritization is one of the things that we'll prioritize. So making choices between operating, developing products, and doing change. I guess by definition, you can't be objective about prioritizing if you're prioritizing something that you sit within.
Yep. Yeah, there are also some comments in the chat.
Yeah. So, anything in there anything that struck you? Victoria's got the hand up.
Yeah. So I've been listening to a podcast recently as well that talks about being able to flex scope to get to the right business outcomes, rather than just delivering getting fixated on the scope that was set out. And like, I come from quite an agile background, but I'm in quite a informal environment at the moment where they're not quite sure how they're setting stuff up. And so I like this idea that we're driving much more to making sure that we can flex the scope as we go to make sure that we drive the value that the business needs, because as we discover more, they might know more. But I've only just really got them thinking about actually properly writing a scope and a business case and value metrics for the business case to get signed off against. So, and leading into this prioritization conversation. So yeah, it's a really interesting time. I'm saying that I need to keep hold of the value management so that in a year I can reapproach them and say, did we achieve what we said we're going to achieve? A lot of people can't see why, as the technology portfolio manager, I would take that responsibility. But if I don't, nobody else is. So yeah, it's
How are you going to manage accountability, Victoria? That's exactly what you're saying. How so some people, I've seen some people write recently that their PMO should hold people to account or measure the value and report for people. And is it down to the person that's accountable to pull those numbers and hold people to account? So this is a big topic. We just run out of time. I think we just run out of time today. But there's loads that's coming up in the questions and in the points here that we can collate and pull together and develop this further. I think this will fit very nicely into the business support discussion when we talk about operating accountability a bit more. But Veronica, I think we're getting close to having to wrap up to respect people's time. Do you want to take charge and stop me waffling?
Yeah, go on, which is sad because we always run out of time on these things and we always get to the good stuff at the end. But what can I say? If there is mammoth appetite, we're always happy to do a part 2 as well, of course. But do you want to bring up our sort of more informational slides? Yes, so bit of business. So thank you, good night. Thank you as ever, everybody, for attending, especially our special guests, of course, but everybody, really appreciate your attendance and engagement. Next bot club is, yes, scope creep. You say that, Chris, but I think it's just that these are very fertile topics. Next bot club is 6th of July, 7:30 till 9 as usual. We're carrying on with business support. I'm very sure that some of the themes we've already explored in prioritisation previously and accountability this time, we will be carrying forward into this. And again, we are back-ending leadership on all of these for a very good reason. We're a little reminder that obviously we always appreciate a donation. We are a not-for-profit community interest company, and you can buy merch, so lovely mugs. And I think we've got a last slide after this one, don't we, David?
Yeah, I will share these slides so that people have the links if they want them. So I'll send those out. But yeah, feedback. We've so far we've picked off the topics in the BOC. And it's been pretty much practitioner discussion and explanation and discussion. What are there, if there are areas that you think we should go into that are not necessarily component related, or you think we should pick off this topic and nail it? I've mentioned AI, and no one can get away without talking about that right now. Prioritization, there's a lot to it. A deeper dive on accountability and what that means, and we've got the leadership, assurance, and business support ones to come up yet, which I think will be big topics. But these are very practitioner focused. If there are topics that are more broad or cross-cutting, please chime up now or write back to us and give us that input. We'd love to do more of these and keep the thought processes developing and giving people value out of the sessions and also collating this knowledge that we can share with people.
Yeah. Oh, and we're also thinking about summer social. So if you want to just come and generally chit chat about some of this stuff, we'll be there.
Anyone got any last remarks to sum up their view as to what we've gone through? I invite people just to say one last thing that is an insightful final splurge before we
I've written a
turn off
little
and go and get a glass
post-it
of
that
wine.
I've stuck to my thing, which says accountability starts with prioritization and ends with value realization. I stole it off one of the slides and then I've put the little, and so it's actually what's going to drive my week this week.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Great.
Really useful. Very
I'd say
timely.
accountability, strategy delivery can't work without accountability. Accountability can't work without prioritization. We can't prioritize without effective governance. We need information and data for that. So although we've picked off this one topic of accountability, it's all related.
Yeah, that's the problem. The reason these conversations tend to expand is because we always end up exploring adjacent concepts because they are so interrelated. And this is why there's 8 components and all in one chapter, is because they all contribute towards this sort of picture.
But special guests, Gio and David, do you have anything you want to leave us to mull over with from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think.
Well, yeah. Sorry, Jay.
Please go, David. Go.
No, I'm just going to say there's an awful lot of interesting ideas here, and I'll be looking through some of the models and trying to work out how they apply differently to the sort of different strategic situations that I've been in during my career, which, as I said, from sort of working in one big organisation and then into a fragmented multi-organisational setting, it's quite different challenges, but it'll be interesting to think about how the models apply.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, for me, I have to say that I was so fascinated by the topic because I never deep dive too much in the concept of accountability itself, no? But I've seen a lot of connection and opportunity to also to expand our vision and to bring some of this concept in the space of the SPM, because the SPM is very, say, technical, straightforward on a number of definitions given by the market, but there are some say very interesting concept which I think I will bring in the next discussion with my company.
And this is only one chapter, Joe. This is only one chapter. There's the whole load of it. The rest of it, honestly, SPM, it's relevant. Absolutely.
I've gone through your documentation before, organizing my my slide, etc. And there is a word that, as I said, is quite interesting and appealing for me. And I think I will. I had some very interesting inputs for to add to the standard strategic portfolio management approach.
Amazing. Well, there you go. Thank you so much. We really get such great feedback. There's at least 3 people there with tangible outcomes from the sessions. That's really positive. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay. No, welcome, and would be very happy to see you again as well, of course. Okay, so I think we are finally done. So David will pop out the blog, pop out the YouTube as usual. There'll be some follow-up. We've got our next session on business support. And if you have any comments, questions, feedback, just drop us an email. We love feedback. We love input. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.